knew then something was wrong because she was always on time.
Throwing her parents into a living nightmare.
I didn't want to know that this was really happening.
I was really hysterical.
A puzzling piece of evidence leaves investigators baffled.
There was a note with initials on it indicating like it was someone maybe that Tabitha had a crush on.
And disturbing theories surrounding her disappearance deepen the mystery.
This lady said, have the police look at this man because he had my daughter.
Leaving her family in agony.
It has been an emotional roller coaster since day one.
I would drive around looking for her. Couldn't find her. It about drove me crazy.
It's the morning of April 29th, 2003, in East Nashville, Tennessee. 13-year-old seventh grader Tabitha Tudors is preparing for the school day.
She was a good student. She made straight A's.
I would help her with her math homework. When I was in school, I was pretty good in math.
He was better at math than me, so I sent her to him. Tabitha had a good relationship with her dad.
Tabitha is by far the youngest of 3 siblings. Her brother Kevin is 25, and her sister Jamie is 21.
My wife was about to hit 30, and then she wanted another child, so we had another. She was a little spoiled. She was our last child, and we spoiled her.
Tabitha was always the entertainer, I think, when she was a younger baby. She would always have this, like, little funny face that she would make, and she would, like, breathe in and out, and, of course, it got the entire room laughing.
1, 2...
Play hide and go seek or read joke books, constant laughing, and we'd had fights, too. But, yeah, she wanted to be just like me.
A tight-knit family, the Tudors make it a priority to spend their free time together.
Tabitha loved going to the racetrack. Every Saturday, we would not miss a race.
Tabitha is especially close to her mom.
Tabitha wasn't a particular 13-year-old. She was more like an 8-year-old. She hung on me like a leech. My car couldn't even roll out of the driveway without her wanting to be in it, so she went everywhere as I went. She was a cut-up, always cutting up, joking. She got that from her daddy. It wasn't from me. She'd get in the car and she'd be singing to the music. She liked singing.
Tabitha is an enthusiastic member of the choir at the Tudors family church.
She said she was going to be a singer.
Whatever my wife was doing, Tabitha would come in and do her, and then my wife even taught Tabitha how to make homemade biscuits. And Tabitha fixed them for us one time, and we ate them. That was real good.
According to the Tudors, their hometown of East Nashville is an up-and-coming neighborhood with a few rough edges.
In 2003, East Nashville was not the place that you really wanted to call home. But for me, I grew up here. I've always felt safe here. There's loud music in people's cars when they drive down the road, break-ins. But for us, we never had any issues.
We've lived here 30 years and we never had no trouble. I mean, nobody ever bothered us, and we don't never bother nobody else.
Nonetheless, the Tudors worry about their youngest child's safety.
I think my parents were more protective of her. She was the baby, their last one growing up.
Every night, Tabitha sleeps on the floor in her parents' bedroom.
She'll start out in her bed, and then when I wake up in the mornings to go to work, she's at the foot of my bed. And I asked her one time, I said, why do you do that? And she said, because I want to be close to you. So I never stopped her.
The morning of April 29th begins like any other morning for the Tudors family. Tabitha's mother gets up for work early, while her daughter is still sleeping.
I worked with Metro Schools in the cafeteria. I got up at 5. I got ready for work. She was laying at the foot of my bed, and then I stepped over her and went and got ready for work.
And at 7 o'clock, I woke Tabitha up and told her, get on up, baby, so you get ready for school.
Some mornings she would eat breakfast here, and then if she has homework that she didn't finish, she would do it that morning before she left.
Tabitha was in good spirits after getting her school report card the previous day.
It had all A's on it. She was excited about it. I was proud of her.
Her father, Bo, heads to work at 7 a.m., and Tabitha spends the next few minutes reveling in her good grades.
I said, I love you. She said, I love you too, Daddy. I said, well, I'm leaving, and I left.
At 7:50 a.m., Tabitha heads out the door. Her bus stop is 1 block away at Boscobel Street and 14th Street.
And I told her, don't leave the house until like 10 to 8, because the bus run at 8. I said, they'd give you 5 minutes to walk up the hill and 5 minutes to wait on that bus.
Tabitha's mother has told her that if there are no other children at her bus stop at 14th Street and Boscobel, she should walk down 1 more block to 15th Street, where more kids will be waiting.
I've always told her, you don't sit up there on that wall by yourself to go down to the second bus stop.
Later that afternoon, Tabitha's mom returns home from work.
And when I got home at 1:30, she gets home at 4, and then she never come home on time. So I knew then something was wrong, because she was always on time. She was never late.
Almost immediately, Deborah goes out to look for her daughter.
And I allowed her 10 minutes for the bus to be late. And then I went up there, and she wasn't up there. And then there's kids up there said that they didn't see her. So I came back home. I drove up to the school, and I banged on the door and banged on the door.
One of the teachers gives her some alarming news. Tabitha wasn't on the bus that morning, and she never made it to school. Trying not to panic, Deborah heads home and calls Tabitha's friends to see if she's at one of their houses. But no one has seen her all day.
I got home at probably 10 minutes to 5. I was in a panic because, I didn't know where Tabitha was.
I received a phone call about 5 o'clock maybe. My mom asking what my sister had on that morning. And I told her I didn't know because I didn't see her. Why? And she said, well, your sister never made it home. We're calling the police.
At 6 p.m., a now frantic Deborah calls the police to report Tabitha missing.
By the time the police were called, she had already been gone for 8 or 9 hours from her bus stop.
The tutors tell police officers that they just found out Tabitha wasn't in school all day and hasn't been seen since the morning.
If she were abducted, that gives a suspect, 8 to 10 hours head start. We didn't know if we were looking for her in the Nashville area or she could have been anywhere in the country, just about in the time frame.
They wanted to know what she was wearing that day, and I just was folding her clothes the day before, so I looked through her clothes to see if I could figure out what was missing. And I believe she had on a blue top with blue jeans and white sneakers.
Investigators do an initial search of the tutor's house.
They went through some stuff, fingerprints. They took her hairbrush, her toothbrush to do a DNA. I had told them that her money was still here, and even her door key was still here. She didn't take her door key that morning because I was always here when she got home.
Tabitha has left behind all of her clothes and makeup and $20 in cash, with no clues as to her whereabouts.
Early on, it was just unknown, if she'd left the house. They just didn't know what happened.
Due to the lack of evidence and Tabitha's age, investigators suspect that she may be a runaway, so they don't issue an Amber Alert.
For an Amber Alert to be listed, there needs to be some type of reasonable belief that a child has possibly been abducted or is in danger. There was a possibility, at least, that Tabitha had left of her own free will, and there was no information that she was seen with a dangerous individual or that she was abducted.
But the tutors insist Tabitha would never have left home of her own volition.
Yeah, Tabitha wasn't a rebellious child. My parents, they were pretty laid back with us, yet they were strict. So we walked a straight line. Tabitha was afraid to get in trouble, I think. So I knew that she hadn't ran away or skipped school.
I tried to explain to the police that she wasn't a runaway. I told them they didn't know my daughter like I do.
Whether 13-year-old Tabitha is a runaway, lost, or missing, police know that time is of the essence. They execute a search along a 5-mile radius, touching the nearby Cumberland River and Shelby Park.
They did a pretty substantial search that night.
Concerned people from the tutors' neighborhood pitch in to help.
They were all searching and everything with flashlights. And then the whole community came together when they found out about it and helped look for her. I mean, it was people I ain't even never seen before come out to look, and they searched and searched. I didn't go out and search for her. I was really hysterical. I didn't want to go nowhere unless she came back home.
It's been 24 hours since 13-year-old Tabitha Tutors went missing on her way to the bus stop in East Nashville, Tennessee.
I didn't want to know that this was really happening. I was trying to stay strong for my wife and my other 2 children.
We were, hoping that she was just going to come down the street or somebody was going to drop her off on the corner and she could come home.
After a sleepless night, the tutors still have no news about Tabitha. Officers return in the morning to do an in-depth search of her bedroom and discover an intriguing clue.
There was a note with initials on it indicating like it was someone maybe that Tabitha had a crush on.
The note is in Tabitha's handwriting with the initials TDT and MTL. Tabitha's initials are TDT, Tabitha Danielle Tutors. But Tabitha's parents say they don't have any idea who MTL could be. While detectives continue to dig, an unrelated tip surfaces involving a possible eyewitness to Tabitha's disappearance.
There was a child that went to school with her. He told police that he seen her get into a red car.
The 11-year-old classmate of Tabitha's says that he was waiting at the second bus stop at 15th Street and Boscobel when he saw Tabitha walking toward him from 14th Street. And then a car appeared next to her.
He said the car came down Boscobel from 14th headed toward 15th. He didn't give a very detailed description of the car, but he did say it was red.
The boy tells police he got a good look at the driver of the vehicle.
He said that it was a male black driving the car and that she got in the car and the car went back out the way it had come in.
He said that Tabitha was in the car. He don't know if she got in on her own or if somebody pulled her in or threatened to make her get in. But he just said it was a dark-skinned guy with a baseball hat.
But the tutors say Tabitha would never willingly get into a stranger's car.
I always told her, don't ever get in a car with nobody. My best friend asked to take her to school one day, and she wouldn't do it. She said, my mama says no, and she wouldn't go.
Based on the boy's account, investigators believe that Tabitha got into the car somewhere between the two bus stops on 14th and 15th Streets. Detectives decide to use tracker dogs to learn more about her movements.
They were given an article, I think some stuffed animals of Tabitha's from Tabitha's house.
And they went out the front door, they went to the right, went up the hill, and they crossed 14th at Boscobel and went down to the third or fourth house, made a circle and come back, and they stopped.
The dogs lose Tabitha's scent in the middle of the block between 14th and 15th Street. It's the exact route that the boy described seeing Tabitha walk that morning before getting into the car.
I believe based upon the dog's scents, she went to the first bus stop and halfway down is when she was picked up.
Investigators look for the African-American male the boy described picking up Tabitha, and the red car he was allegedly driving.
I was trying to figure out who had a red car, and I couldn't figure out if we knew anybody that had a red car, and we didn't know anybody that had one.
In the meantime, police discovered that Tabitha's classmate wasn't the only one to have seen her that morning.
There's a woman that lives on the corner house. She saw Tabitha walk into her bus stop the morning that she disappeared.
There was a man who saw her at the intersection of 14th and Boscobel. There was another lady who drove through who was familiar with Tabitha, and she saw her in that same area. There were at least two of Tabitha's schoolmates who saw her crossing over 14th to Boscobel. So there were at least 4 people that said they saw her.
The people that saw Tabitha that morning said she was holding something in her hand, looking at it, and we're assuming it was her report card. And she's proud of her all her A's and B's, and I guess she was just looking over it again.
Although the new eyewitness accounts give detectives a more precise timeline of when and where Tabitha was last seen, none of them reveal anything out of the ordinary. But within hours, investigators have a breakthrough closer to home. They learn of a man familiar to the Tudors family who matches the description of the driver of the red car.
Investigators started kind of taking a look at Jamie's boyfriend at the time.
My boyfriend at the time was a black gentleman.
He lived with Jamie in the Tudors' home some months before Tabitha went missing.
They just questioned him because of the dark colored skin with a ball hat. I mean, he wore ball hats.
Detectives find that Jamie's boyfriend was aware of Tabitha's routine and where she got on the bus each morning.
The investigators started trying to determine where he was on the morning that she disappeared and try to create a timeline and also find out what potential vehicle he might have been in.
Jamie's boyfriend tells police that he and Jamie weren't together at the time, and he hadn't stayed at the Tudors' home for months. And they find no connection to a red car. In fact, Jamie's boyfriend didn't own a vehicle of his own,
but was said to have sometimes driven Jamie's or driven different relatives' vehicles. There was really no direct link. He obviously knew Tabitha, and at one time they'd had a really good relationship.
Jamie's boyfriend also has an alibi for that morning. A friend he'd been staying with confirms they'd been together the morning that Tabitha disappeared. He passes a polygraph, and investigators find no evidence linking him to Tabitha's disappearance. With Tabitha now missing for 48 hours, investigators are once again on the hunt for a lead. They turn their attention back to the paper found in Tabitha's room, containing the initials MTL. They canvass people in the neighborhood and in Tabitha's school, and soon find a potentially promising match to the initials: the 18-year-old son of a couple who are friends of the Tudors. But when police question him, the hopeful development quickly falls apart. The young man was in school the morning Tabitha went missing.
There was no reason to believe that he had anything to do with her disappearance.
Investigators find no other evidence related to the note or the initials MTL. But within a few hours, a classmate of Tabitha's comes forward with new information.
One of Tabitha's friends had indicated that at least on one Saturday, she and Tabitha had gone to the library in East Nashville, and they'd gotten on a computer and gotten on apparently some chat lines or some chat rooms. The young girl was able to take investigators to the library and show which computer they used. That computer was taken and thoroughly examined forensically by our department.
While detectives anxiously wait for the results, forensic investigators scour the computer, looking for evidence of Tabitha's chat history. Then, later that same day, a local woman comes forward with an unrelated and disturbing story that police hope could lead them straight to Tabitha.
This lady went to Mrs. Tudor's and said, have the police look at this man because he had my daughter.
2 days after 13-year-old Tabitha Tudors mysteriously went missing while walking to her school bus stop, police zero in on their most hopeful development yet. A Nashville mother with 2 young daughters has just come forward with a troubling story about a man named Paul Davis. She says that 7 years earlier, in 1996, he appeared to take an inappropriate interest in her 10-year-old child.
She met this individual speaking to her daughter at school. He would have been in his late 20s, I guess, maybe 28 years old, and inquired with her daughter, why are you talking with this older man? And she said, oh, his kids go here, or his nieces and nephews go here. He's fine.
Despite her daughter's lack of concern, the woman tells police that she continued to have a bad feeling about Davis. 1 year later, in 1997, she says that the situation got worse when her older 13-year-old daughter ran away from home. The mother's first thought was that Davis might have had something to do with it.
When she realized that her daughter had left, she went up to her room and started searching through her things, and she found this individual's name written on several notes. There were love letters written to him.
The woman's daughter came back home 2 days later, but her mother was convinced that Davis had had inappropriate contact with her daughter. Police track Davis down and bring him in for questioning. They find that he has a history of spending time with underage girls, most of them around Tabitha's age and blonde. 6 years earlier, in 1997, he was convicted of statutory rape and received 5 years probation.
So he became a pretty big person of interest.
Detectives find that when Tabitha went missing, Davis was living just 3.5 hours away in Kentucky. They also discover that he had made a trip to Nashville around that same time.
He'd come to Nashville earlier in April of 2003. He was seen at the market, at the Four-Way Market, which is only a half a block from the Tudors' residence.
It just seemed like it fit, considering his back history and hanging around in our neighborhood, wanting to talk to young girls.
But when investigators construct a complete timeline for Davis, they realize that he has an alibi for the 29th of April, 2003, the day Tabitha went missing.
He was eliminated based upon his sister giving an alibi for him, saying that he was in Kentucky.
Investigators have no evidence against Davis, so the once promising lead is dead. Over the next few weeks, nothing new develops. The Tudors family suffers every day from the devastating loss of their little girl.
I would go down to the river, and I would walk those river banks from one end to the other just to see if she was down there. I said, I'm walking the riverbank. I would drive around looking for her. Couldn't find her. It about drove me crazy.
My dad cried a lot. They cried a lot together. We did have a lot of people step up and help out in the beginning. But after a while, some of our friends stopped coming around as much because they didn't know how to comfort us or what to say, or, you know, it's a tough situation, so they choose just to stay away.
Despite their suffering, the Tudors do everything they can to get exposure for Tabitha's case.
We tried to keep the media informed of, you know, everything with Tabitha.
So crazy how this neighborhood has changed, Mom. But we found different things to try and get her name out. That was our first button. I think we made these ourselves. We just kind of popped them in there. And then we figured out that we could order them from a company. So we had these made. The bracelets say, "Bring Tabitha home." I wanted people to look and see what, what my shirt said. And this one, "Still missing," is what it says on the bottom, to let everybody know that she's still missing. And it says, "Help me find my sister." They're worn out. Like the picture on this one is almost gone.
I love that picture.
Yeah.
Over the next few months, numerous tips come in, claiming that Tabitha was spotted in different Nashville neighborhoods. Police check out each and every one, but none of them go anywhere. Until September 12th, 2003, 5 months after Tabitha vanished, when news comes in that suggests extremely disturbing circumstances in her disappearance. A man named Millard Earl Smith has just been arrested in Nashville and charged with rape.
Millard Earl Smith, I heard that he lived on Fesser's Lane, which is about 4 miles from here. They thought that being he was out doing this, that he might have had something to do with Tabitha missing.
He actually made the statement that he is a predator.
On September 19th, 2003, 5 months after 13-year-old Tabitha Tudors went missing, Nashville police arrest a man named Millard Earl Smith and charge him with the rape of a 17-year-old girl. The circumstances of the crime make detectives wonder if Smith could be involved in Tabitha's disappearance.
He was on his motorcycle and he came across a young couple. It was raining. He offered them a ride. He told them that he would have to take them separately, obviously being on the motorcycle. He ended up taking the boyfriend in one place and took the girl to this trailer and raped her.
Millard Earl Smith lived on Fesser's Lane, which is about 4 miles from here.
Although he doesn't match the description that Tabitha's classmate gave of the driver of the red car, Smith had been convicted of kidnapping, as well as solicitation of a minor in the past year. When Smith is brought in for questioning, detectives discover something that deepens their interest in him.
He did not own a car, but we did find out that he was helping his brother-in-law some in East Nashville who worked on different cars. So he could have had access to a red car.
While police dig into Smith's background and recent whereabouts, results come in from the forensic exam of the library computer that Tabitha used to chat online.
They were able to determine that Tabitha's username had been used on that computer, but they weren't able to find anything to determine what rooms and what she had done on the computer. There had just been so many people that have used it since that it kind of covered up the data.
If there's any evidence on the computer that could help police find Tabitha, it appears to be lost forever. In the meantime, Millard Smith denies any involvement in Tabitha's disappearance. He says he was on a camping trip with family at the time. Though his alibi is never confirmed by police, Smith passes a polygraph test, and investigators can find no evidence linking him to Tabitha. But he remains a person of interest.
He was investigated thoroughly, interviewed, polygraphed, and he really cannot be completely eliminated as a person of interest.
For the Tudors family, as time passes, the lack of answers becomes more and more of an emotional drain.
We had a lot of tips that have gotten our hopes up. Some were like, oh, this is it. Like, this is the lead. This is what's going to bring her back home. And then others, it's like, what are they even talking about? It has been an emotional roller coaster since day one.
Months pass, and the first anniversary of Tabitha's disappearance comes and goes. The Nashville Police Investigations Unit still works tirelessly, exploring every tip that comes in.
I have a 13-year-old at home, and I couldn't imagine her disappearing and me not having any idea what had happened to her. I feel like the burden is on me to try to get answers for the Tudors.
Tabitha's had several different detectives on her case. I can't tell you the number of detectives. And now currently we have Detective Jolly. We feel that Detective Jolly is going to be the man to solve this case.
I know people probably thought I was crazy going down the road laughing because she made me laugh all the time.
In 2008, on the 5th anniversary of her disappearance, police asked local newspapers to print a story about Tabitha to put her case back in the public eye. The strategy works. In June, an unexpected tip comes in that contradicts eyewitness reports that police have been working with for years.
My wife's niece said that she had an employee that said Tabitha did not get into a red car that morning. That she had got into a green car.
5 years after Tabitha Tudors went missing, Nashville news outlets publish a plea for new information, and a brand new tip comes in, directly to the Tudors family.
My niece opened up a tattoo shop, and this guy came in there and was telling her that Tabitha had gotten into a green car.
He was riding his bike, and he stated that Tabitha did, in fact, get into a green car that morning. He said it was parked at the bus stop at 15th and Boscoville.
It's unknown why the witness waited so long to come forward. But this detail takes the case in a whole new direction. Investigators saturate social media with the new tip.
Detective Jolly immediately picks up on any tips and runs with them.
But in the days and weeks that follow, no new information comes in. Nor are police able to track down a vehicle matching the witness's description. It's another devastating blow to Tabitha's family.
I blame myself, you know. If it wasn't for my kids and my grandkids and my mom, I don't know what I would have done. My grandkids is really what kept me going.
The investigation goes stone cold. 8 years pass with no new developments.
Bo cried a lot with me. And at night when we go to bed, we would talk about her every night and everything before we go to sleep. And then we talk about her every day.
Then, on February 10th, 2016, 13 years after Tabitha's disappearance, the long silence breaks when detectives finally get a lead about the green car. A local woman tells police she just realized she knew someone who owned a car fitting that description back in 2003.
The young lady contacted me and said that she knew of a Hispanic male that lived within just a few blocks of the Tudors, that lived in a duplex and drove a green car.
The man's name is Juan. And police recognize that over the years, this isn't the first time that name has come up in the investigation.
Tabitha knew a man by the name of Juan that was 19 at the time she disappeared, that lived down the street from her, and that she would sometimes go down there while Bo was taking a nap in the afternoon, and that she allegedly smoked cigarettes with him. So when this particular tip about Juan came in, it caught my attention.
And police also learn that Juan was well aware of Tabitha's disappearance.
A woman said that her daughter was married to a man. His name was Juan, and he had gotten emotional and told his friend that he worked with that he owned a car like that, and he was afraid that they were going to be looking for him, and supposedly made comments about it wasn't supposed to happen that way.
Detectives find that Juan now lives just 3.5 hours from Nashville, in Louisville, Kentucky.
We interviewed and interrogated and polygraphed extensively.
Detectives confirm that Juan used to drive a green car owned by a friend, but the vehicle is no longer in his possession. So many years later, investigators have no luck finding it. Juan takes and passes a polygraph test. He maintains his innocence in Tabitha's disappearance and says nothing that detectives find incriminating.
For whatever reason, this woman had really embellished and given information that was not at all accurate. We were able to eliminate Juan in Louisville, Kentucky. He had no connection to Tabitha whatsoever.
Today, 15 years after she disappeared, Detective Stephen Jolly is still actively investigating Tabitha's case.
They're following leads, going back to the very beginning, looking at everything, trying to pick up on anything that they may have missed.
This case is probably on my mind more than most of my other ones. There's just so much to it, and there's so many different avenues and different leads that it often comes to mind. It's been very challenging, but I really wish that I could be the one that could help them get the answers that they're looking for.
The Tudors are still doing everything they can to keep Tabitha's case in the public eye.
I think about my sister every day.
You still have hope that they'll find her?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Didn't take very long to answer that question.
No, we've never lost hope.
We'll get her back one day. We have thought about moving, and Tabitha's one reason why we haven't moved yet. Because where we live at is the only place that she knows where home is.
Tabitha's family says they feel as strongly today as they did when she disappeared, that she didn't leave home on her own.
I believe that day that Tabitha come up missing, somebody took her. I don't know if it's somebody that she knew or somebody that she didn't know, but they took her. I know my child didn't run away.
It's heartbreaking on all of us because we didn't get to see her graduate, didn't see her get her driver's license, and, you know, just a whole bunch of stuff. And she's got nieces and nephews that she hasn't saw yet, so she needs to get home so she can see them.
I sit and wonder, you know, she's 27. Would she have kids? And would she be married? And what would her kids look like? And definitely a lot of things run through your head after all these years.
We have a room just about the same way it was when she left, and I hope that one day that she'll come back home and see her room just like it was when she left.
It's hard losing your child, especially when you don't know where they are. I just want some kind of closure. That's all I need.
Age progression software suggests what Tabitha Tudors would look like today, at age 28. If you have any information on Tabitha Tudors or her disappearance, please contact Nashville Crime Stoppers at 615-742-7463. Braden Fuchsa disappeared on Monday, July 15th, 2009. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Braden Fuchsa's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to him. Braden Fuchsa vanishes in summer 2009.
It was just so out of character.
His parents panic when they discover a missing handgun.
My heart just sank.
And a puzzling trail of clues that he's left in his wake.
We didn't know if he hid north, south, east, or west.
Authorities discover that this young man has been guarding a dark secret.
Braden was pretty freaked out about having spent a night in jail.
And the search for him turns into a manhunt 700 miles away.
At this point, they would probably be looking for a body.
It's July 2009. 22-year-old Braden Fuchsa is enjoying summer on his own. He's just moved out of his parents' house into an apartment in the college town of Lawrence, Kansas.
Braden was really dead set that he wanted to be out on his own. He had the opportunity to move in with an individual that he went to school with. They had found him an apartment, and they were going to move in together.
It was a big deal for me for him to leave home, but he wanted to be independent, which we encourage. I mean, you have to let him go at some point.
Braden still sees his parents often, visiting them at home in Olathe, just 20 miles east of Lawrence.
He'd come over to eat and he'd come over to get leftovers. Todd likes to grill, and so that was Braden's big thing, was to grill, and he would come over and they would trade cooking secrets and recipes.
Braden also stops by regularly on his way to and from work. He's a security guard at a large outdoor retailer in Olathe, not far from his parents' house.
He said his dream job would be to work at Bass Pro, so he could be around the fishing rods and the guns and everything.
When he's not at work, Braden spends almost all his time doing outdoor activities.
Braden, from the get-go, enjoyed the outdoors. We boated, we skied and tubed and wakeboard. Every free moment that we had, we were fishing. He was an outdoors person, 100%.
He's been camping since he can remember, since he was a toddler.
What is that? Did you catch him?
He loved to fish, and he loved to hunt.
Braden has an especially strong affinity for mountains, which was apparent on a family trip to Colorado in 2007.
He had more fun that week. He was constantly, oh, let's stop and do this, and let's stop. You know, we were hiking, and I mean, he was just beside himself.
In mid-July 2009, Braden's parents are out of town for a couple days. When they get back home Wednesday the 15th, Starla contacts Braden.
I text him because he knew we had been out of town and told him that we were home, we had made it okay.
Starla exchanges several texts with her son. She tells him that she and Todd have plans to see a film that night.
I told him I hated to cut our time short, but I had to go because the movie was going to start, and I'd talk to him later.
Starla and Todd spend the evening relaxing at the movies. But when they get home, they notice something odd.
Todd had gotten on the computer and was looking, and he said, Braden transferred some money.
It's not a big deal. It's usually one of the type of situations where Braden or our daughter would call and say, I'm short on money, I don't get paid till Friday, can you float me some money? And it happened all the time.
But this time, the amount that Braden has transferred is much higher than usual.
It was $800. Usually we're talking $300-400. Just enough to pay his portion of the rent or insurance being due or something like that. I made a phone call to him and got his voicemail, left him a message just asking him, what's up, were you in trouble, and you had enough money.
Starla and Todd go to bed feeling curious, but not overly worried about the transfer. They figure their son will give them an explanation in the morning. But the next day, Braden doesn't call.
Thursday came around, still hadn't heard from him, and it wasn't like Braden. Starla and him were very close. They text back and forth daily.
Then, another day passes without word from Braden. His parents spend the rest of the week searching for him, making a routine of calling regularly and driving by his apartment and work to look for him.
We didn't know what was going on. We just bound and determined we were going to keep up the ritual of, going to his hangout and try to find him.
Although Braden's parents are very worried, they don't call the police, wanting to respect their son's newfound independence. But they do reach out to his friends, including his ex-girlfriend, Elena Ryan. The young couple dated for almost 4 years, breaking up only a year and a half earlier.
I spoke with Starla and told her that I had seen Braden at a gas station in town. But it was a very brief interaction, just kind of a hi, how you doing sort of thing. He didn't seem overly eager to talk to me. And because he had been trying to pursue a reconciliation prior to that, that seems a little strange.
Elena's encounter with Braden is only hours before Starla's last text with her son on Wednesday, July 15th. His parents' concern grows.
I mean, you can imagine the worry. We were both a wreck.
It's been 4 full days since Starla and Todd have heard from their son. They're at a loss as to what to do next when they have a sudden suspicion.
For some reason, on Sunday morning, we got up and it was just one of those feelings.
In our master bedroom closet, there's a shelf in there.
We kept a 9mm in the closet for protection. Our granddaughter had been there 2 weeks before, and I had put it up high in the closet so that she could not get it. So I had just seen it the week before when I'd went and checked on it.
So I seen the gun case there up on the shelf, and I don't know why I did it, but I just grabbed a hold of the gun case itself. It was empty, and my heart just sank.
Only family members know where the gun is kept. Todd and Starla are sure that Braden has taken it.
The gun was gone, and we'd become very nervous, and Todd said, we're gonna file a police report now.
The search for Braden takes on a new urgency. Where did he go? And why does he need a gun?
It's the worst feeling in the world. Our stomachs just dropped.
Coming up, Braden's parents are prevented from filing a missing persons report for their son.
Our emotions were extremely high at that point. We didn't know what else to do.
Todd and Starla Fuchsa have not seen or heard from their 22-year-old son Braden in 4 days, despite repeatedly trying to contact him. But the alarms really go off when a handgun goes missing from their home.
The minute we discovered the gun was missing, we went straight to the police.
But at the Olathe Police Department, the Fuchses are not permitted to file a missing persons report for Braden because he is over 21 and no longer living at home.
Our problem was he was an adult. He's still our child, but they don't see it that way.
They actually told us since he was living in Lawrence with a roommate, the roommate would need to be the one that submitted the report.
And it was kind of frustrating because our emotions were extremely high at that point. We didn't know what else to do.
Just in conversation, I mentioned that, well, he's got my pistol. That changed the whole subject. They automatically took our report and filed it.
Braden's parents give police a detailed description of their son, his vehicle, and the handgun. Detective Kenton Thompson is put on the case.
I reviewed the report that we had this missing 22-year-old man and that he basically had just disappeared. We've got the handgun gone from his parents' house. So obviously now we've got this concern of what's that about.
As Detective Thompson begins his investigation, Braden's parents go home and wait. But they can't stop thinking about the gun.
You don't know if he was gonna hurt himself, if something went wrong and he was protecting himself, if something had happened to him and somebody was after him. You just don't know.
Braden's parents are confident that their son is an experienced gun user.
He's been using a gun since he was big enough to walk. He was hunting by the time he was 5.
But they also know that the gun that Braden took from their house is not meant for hunting.
A lot of police carry 9mm. It's more for target shooting, and it's more of a protection gun than anything.
Braden's former girlfriend, Elena, is mystified as well.
Braden had his own guns. He had his own handgun. I know he had one in Lawrence. Why would he take his dad's handgun instead of his own?
Looking for information, Braden's parents try calling the last people to have contact with their son.
Braden's cell phone was part of our account, so I had access to his records.
And we took like the last 20 numbers and he texts them.
You know, this is Braden's dad. Haven't seen Braden in a little while. Can you please call me?
At first, no one responds. But slowly, calls start coming in, including one from Braden's roommate.
He called, and him and I visited a little bit, and he did not know where Braden had gone.
But his roommate does know something else.
We found out that on Wednesday, Braden grabbed his bag and told his roommate that he was coming over to Olathe to spend the night with Todd and I, with his parents.
But Braden's parents were home on Wednesday night, and Braden never showed up.
To say that he was coming to our house was nothing big, and the roommate wouldn't have checked it out. We wouldn't have thought anything about it.
Given Braden's lie, his parents tried to pin down their son's actual movements.
We knew he had been at our house at some time because the gun was missing. We have the neighbors across the street, and we went over and asked them if they had seen Braden, and they said yes, they had seen him at the house that morning and said he was there about 15 minutes or so. He had pulled in, waved to him, you know, hollered hi, went into the house, and come back out and waved to him again and got in his car and left. So that was about 10:30, 10:40.
It was later that same day that Starla last texted with Braden. His cell phone bill indicates that Braden didn't call or text anyone else after that point.
I had talked to him at 2:30, so that kind of gave us a timeline of what he was doing.
As Braden's parents try to put all the pieces together, another clue surfaces. Todd receives a call from Megan Loach, who, unknown to his parents, is Braden's new girlfriend.
I met Braden at a party in Lawrence at the end of May 2009. Braden is really funny. He's the center of anything. Everybody who was at the party was there for Braden. Everybody knew Braden, and he made me laugh. I instantly liked Braden, and I think he instantly liked me.
Megan and Braden have only been dating for 2 months. but she feels close enough to him that she is disturbed by his behavior the last time they meet, the night before he disappears.
He spent the night at my house. We made dinner and we were hanging out. Braden was just really upset and like just not his normal self. Braden's really outgoing and he's always making people laugh, and it was weird to see him just worried. He just looked worried.
The next morning, Wednesday, the day he disappears, Braden leaves abruptly.
I think it was about like mid-morning. Braden got up and left, and he usually doesn't leave without saying goodbye or something, or he usually hangs around. And then I had heard a car start in the parking lot. So I looked out my window and he was pulling out. So I texted him and said no goodbye or not saying goodbye anymore or something. Braden just texted me back and said goodbye, Megan. That was it. That was the last time like I had talked to him.
4 days later, no one, including his parents, has heard from Braden. And the next phone call sends the Fuchsas even deeper down the rabbit hole.
Later that afternoon, we got a phone call from the police department. They had located his vehicle in Douglas, Wyoming area.
Coming up, Braden has been hiding a dark secret from his family.
We would never have suspected that something like this was going on, ever. It was almost like a Twilight Zone moment.
On July 15th, 2009, Braden Fuchsa leaves his home in Lawrence, Kansas. His whereabouts are completely unknown by his friends and family. Then, 4 days later, police report that his vehicle has been found in Wyoming.
What is in Wyoming? He knew no one in Wyoming, and why is he going that direction? What was causing him to go there? We were just a little dumbfounded, to be honest. There was a lot going through our minds.
Wyoming Highway Patrol found the vehicle as an abandoned vehicle. They did a check on it at 10:44 a.m. on Thursday, July 16th. There's no one around it. Now, at that point, Braden had not been reported missing, so they left because they had no other information available to them.
3 days later, on Sunday, July 19th, Braden's parents file the missing persons report. It's only then that Braden's information is entered into the National Crime Information Center database and made available to authorities across the country.
We got what's called a delayed entry hit off of that tag, which told us that back on the 16th, that tag was run by the Wyoming Highway Patrol.
Braden's parents tell the police that as far as they are aware, their son doesn't know anyone in Wyoming, nor has he ever been there. The development in the case makes them very uneasy.
I mean, there's just so many missing pieces to this whole thing. The more information that kept coming up, the more confused we got, and it was just so out of character.
Looking for answers, Detective Thompson contacts many of the same people that Braden's parents have spoken to. He agrees that something seems very wrong.
I work a lot of juvenile cases, and typically the first people I talk to is their girlfriend or their boyfriend and their best friend. Those two people. If anyone's going to have information, usually have some idea of what has happened. And in this case, his roommate was his best friend, and he has no information. And Megan was completely surprised by it also.
Braden's former longtime girlfriend, Elena, isn't surprised that he didn't confide in anyone.
From my perspective, Braden didn't have a lot of close friends. He was a sweet guy, but he was very quiet. I don't know if I would call him shy, but he was just very quiet and didn't put himself out there.
But Braden's new girlfriend has a differing account of his character.
Braden was a very outgoing person. I'm kind of shy, so he Braden definitely had to be more outgoing to get me kind of out of my shell. It's weird hearing about someone that you were so close to in a situation that you never expected. It started to become more like I never really knew Braden.
As Detective Thompson struggles to get some insight into Braden's actions, a possible motive emerges. Braden is facing potential prison time on a theft charge.
The theft charge resulted from Braden stealing some cash from his employer. It was a felony level theft, which means in Kansas it was over $1,000.
Braden's parents were not told of their son's arrest when they filed the missing persons report. When police call to notify them, they're stunned.
We were very shocked. He'd never been in trouble ever. I don't know if he'd ever even had a speeding ticket. He was not that kind of kid.
Braden is a straight go-forward kid. And when he was in trouble, his mom usually knew about it. He would confess. So, you know, just anything to happen like that was just, it didn't happen with Braden.
But as Braden's parents think back to their son's behavior, the recent transfer from their account, as well as some earlier events, they begin to recognize signs of his growing money problems.
Towards the midsummer time frame, Bass Pro had cut his department to a limited amount of hours, and it left him with 8 hours for the entire week.
Still, Braden manages to keep his true financial state under wraps.
Braden reinforced us that he had enough side jobs that he was getting by.
But in reality, Braden's financial troubles are quickly catching up with him.
His roommate told me in June, Braden was late getting his share of the rent to him. He didn't think a whole lot about that at the time. But then in July, he was late again, and you know, like a week late.
As Braden's parents later learn, their son is so desperate for money that a week before he disappears, he dips into the till at work and gets caught.
Braden worked in security at Bass Pro. So his job was transferring money back and forth at closing time, putting stuff in the safe. The way we understand is they were closing up. Braden had taken money from the registers to the lockup spot. They confronted Braden when he come into work the next day. Braden said, yeah, it's back at my apartment. They brought in the police, talked to him a while. He confessed everything, and that police actually took him back to Lawrence to pick up the money. It's my understanding that he returned nearly all of the money. I don't think quite all of it, but nearly all of the money.
Despite his cooperation with the law, Braden is immediately taken into custody.
After that initial report was made and he was arrested, he was taken directly to the Johnson County Adult Detention Center.
Braden spends the night in jail. He is released the next day, but according to Braden's roommate, the harrowing experience of being locked up stays with him.
Braden was, quote, pretty freaked out about having spent the night in jail. Being arrested, you know, for him was a pretty major life event and was distressing for him.
Braden was scared. I think when he got arrested, they had exaggerated how much trouble he was in, and I think that Braden he's never been in trouble before, and he was just really frightened by that, and he thought he was going to go to jail for, you know, a couple of years.
Braden is due in court for a preliminary hearing on July 16th, but as the date approaches, Braden appears to set a plan in motion.
When he left his apartment on the 15th, he told his roommate, I'm going to go spend the night with my parents in Olathe. Okay? That was Wednesday night. He had court the next day. Well, that is actually when he left.
When his case is called the next morning, Braden's car is already 2 states away, in Wyoming. Braden is nowhere to be found. All signs point to his being a fugitive from the law, but no one saw it coming.
We would never have suspected that something like this was going on, ever, because we've always had such an open relationship with our kids. It was almost like a Twilight Zone moment. It's like, what is this? I don't understand.
From his conversations with friends and family, Detective Thompson paints a portrait of what he believes to be Braden's last days in Kansas. A young man, ashamed of his crime and extremely afraid of getting a harsh sentence, panics and flees.
I believe his perception of it was that it was going to be much more serious for him than it probably would have been. This was the lowest level that would qualify as a felony theft. He didn't have any criminal history, so this would not have been a potentially serious sentence. It wasn't going to involve a prison term or anything like that. If he truly understood the likely outcome, perhaps he would not have been so distraught about the arrest.
Myself, my wife, the detective have all called and left voicemails on his phone saying that come back, hit your court date. This is not as bad as you think.
While there now seems to be strong motive for Braden's sudden bolt from Kansas, his exact whereabouts are still a mystery. Is Braden running from the law and carrying a handgun? Or has something much worse happened to him? Coming up, as more details come to light, investigators make a devastating discovery.
We only missed having some contact with him by an hour or maybe an hour and 15.
After being arrested for a felony-level theft, Braden Fuchsa flees his home state of Kansas. On the day he is due in court for a preliminary hearing, his car turns up 700 miles away in Wyoming. But Braden is nowhere to be found. As the details of Braden's case emerge, the investigation focuses on the largest piece of evidence, Braden's car.
When the Highway Patrol found the vehicle, Braden was not present.
And then we got a call that they had went ahead and opened it. Nothing looked suspicious in it whatsoever.
The Wyoming Highway Patrol tows the vehicle to Douglas, a small town just north of where it was found. Braden's parents make the long drive to pick it up themselves.
Starla and I left early Friday morning and drove the entire route to Douglas.
I think the drive to get there was about 13 hours. It was a very long drive. You're very anxious because you're scared of what you're going to find once you get there. It was a very emotional trip.
As Braden's parents make their way to Douglas, they retrace the journey they believe their son made 10 days earlier.
From Cheyenne north to Douglas, the population is hardly any. You go through some very small towns along the way. The houses are far and few between. It's got the hills and very pretty country.
As they drive through the changing landscape, they look for physical cues that would indicate why Braden chose this direction.
We don't really understand why that area, even though it's absolutely beautiful. There were the plains there, it's just gorgeous, but that's not what he's always wanted. I mean, he's always wanted the mountains. So the area that we found the car, it just doesn't coincide with what we know that he wanted.
It's late at night by the time the Fuchsas arrive in Douglas. The next morning, they go directly to the tow yard to pick up Braden's car.
This is something that's kind of bothered me. There was a key code on the door, a lock, and Braden always used that. He always stuck his keys under the floor mat. That was his habit. And I looked under the floor mat and the keys were there. That just, in my eyes, tells me he locked his vehicle and walked away.
As Starla and Todd continue to look through their son's belongings, the more convinced they are that Braden willingly left his car behind.
The clothes looked like he had went through the bag, kind of trying to sort out what he was going to take and what he wasn't going to take.
Because Braden has so recently moved out of his parents' home, Starla and Todd have a good idea of what items he might be carrying with him.
His cell phone was missing and he took his wallet. The boots were gone. There was a pair of jeans, so that tells me that he had one pair of jeans, the pair he was wearing, the boots, maybe a couple t-shirts, and the gun was missing.
But why Braden abandoned his car baffles detectives. Was he trying to throw off police, or did he leave his car by the side of the highway in the hopes that it would be found?
I quite honestly just cannot make sense of that. I don't know why he would abandon that vehicle that way where he did, because you certainly know it's going to be found. I mean, that's probably the easiest place to find a vehicle. You leave alongside the interstate, you know the highway patrol is going to come by and stop and check on it.
Upon their return to Kansas, the Fuchses hand over to the Olathe police several items they found in the car. One of them leads Detective Thompson to a key witness.
That was a receipt from a tire repair place out of Wheatland, Wyoming. That receipt indicated that he had purchased a used tire, and of course it had the company's name and phone number on it.
Detective Thompson calls the garage and is able to speak with the mechanic who saw Braden.
I was woke up from the guy that runs the pit stop Conoco that there was a fellow that came in and had a blown out tire.
Reuben Kaufman is a mechanic in Wheatland, Wyoming. He often gets calls for people who have broken down along Interstate 25. But that day, he would unknowingly help a fugitive.
I got the phone call around 5:30, 6 o'clock. His tire blew out at the Bordeaux exit, south of Wheatland, exit 67. He wanted me to run down there and put another tire on it and come back and pick him up and take him back down there.
Reuben drives down the interstate and finds Braden's car on the side of the road.
The tire had blown out. It was literally shreds. I mean, it looked like it blown out at high speed. There was no fixing it. It was just shredded.
Reuben replaces the blown-out tire, then returns to the pit stop to pick up Braden and bring him back to his car.
He seemed like a nice, clean-cut man. You know, very nice people person.
As the two men make small talk, Braden shares with Reuben information he has kept from everyone else.
I asked him where he was going. He said he was headed for the university in Billings.
Billings, Montana, is 400 miles directly north of Wheatland.
It made sense because that's the route you would take to go to Billings, is Interstate 25.
But according to Braden's parents, their son wasn't planning on going to school, nor does he know anyone in Montana. Nevertheless, they admit that their son has long been obsessed with the state.
Braden was infatuated with Montana, and Billings would have been where he wanted to go. He at one point had checked into finding out more about the game warden system in Montana. He wanted to be outdoors and in nature. That was his goal.
It was kind of an uncanny obsession, but he was real into John Wayne movies, and so I think he just saw Montana as scarcely populated, lots of nature. He could fish, he could hunt, he could do all the things that he loved. And that was the place to do it, I guess.
Slowly, a theory begins to take shape. Braden, running from the law, decides to disappear and start a new life in Montana. When Wyoming authorities examine the area, the theory gains strength.
From where the vehicle was found, along northbound I-25 south of Douglas, at some point on up the road is a truck stop.
You know, it was a very short walk to the rest stop. And with Braden's personality, he could walk up to somebody and strike a conversation in a heartbeat and wouldn't have a problem talking his way for a trip further up the road.
The search for Braden is now broadened to include Montana and beyond.
Well, we did contact the chief of the police department for the university there in Billings, and then we also contacted Billings, Montana City Police Department. We made a poster, we distributed it along that known route, in other words, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, and even into Canada.
Detective Thompson is also able to create a more exact picture of Braden's flight out of Kansas.
My belief would be that he just drove through the night on the 15th. From kind of the time frame that Ruben has given me, he had the blown tire approximately 10 miles south of Wheatland. He got back on the road with the vehicle fixed somewhere around 8 o'clock, continued northbound on I-25.
Oddly, Braden then abandons the car less than an hour's drive north of where he got the flat. Shortly after that, the Wyoming Highway Patrol comes across the vehicle.
You know, the frustrating thing there is that, you know, we only missed having some contact with him by an hour or maybe an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half at the most, between when he left the vehicle and the time that Wyoming trooper stopped to check on it initially.
An hour earlier, and Braden might have been intercepted. Instead, his absence is going on 2 weeks. Disappointingly, the expanded search for Braden does not produce results.
Even though we tried to get information distributed as widely as we could, there was just no further leads, no contact.
Braden has been missing for 6 months. Suddenly, there's movement in the case.
I came in my office one morning and had a voicemail from a woman who works at the Salvation Army in Cheyenne, Wyoming. She told me she was 100% certain that she saw Braden.
Coming up, new hope that Braden is on his way home.
He said it was a long way back to Kansas.
6 months after Braden Fuchsa disappears from his home in Kansas, a missing person poster in Cheyenne, Wyoming generates an exciting tip. Linda Curl works at a Salvation Army soup kitchen, where she sees many down-and-out transients. She is certain that Braden was one of them.
We put bread out for the homeless or the low income or whoever needs it. And this particular day, we'd had a lot of bread, so we told him, take as many as you can use. It wouldn't fit in his pocket, so he was sticking it under his arms and trying to hold 3 or 4 loaves instead of just 1 or 2. And he said it was a long way back to Kansas, so he would take it.
It was kind of exciting to hear. If you had been in the Douglas area or on north past Douglas, you know, that would be your way back.
Convinced this could be more than coincidence, Detective Thompson contacts Braden's parents. The bread story strikes a chord.
My heart just dropped because Braden loved bread. He loves Italian. It was terrible because you try to make the bread and he was stealing it all the time. You know, I mean, he would eat it before we even had it toasted.
The news fills the Fuchsas with fresh hope that Braden is on his way home. But just as quickly as the excitement builds, it begins to dissipate.
Cheyenne police looked at various places where some of their homeless people stay, and obviously watching the Salvation Army, and the Salvation Army employees obviously are now very aware to be on the lookout for him. There was just no further sighting, no further indication that he was there.
Detective Thompson begins to doubt the sighting, as it's based solely on the poster.
She sees a missing person poster for Braden, and she says, that is the guy that was in here last week and had lunch. But it can be very difficult for someone to make that identification. This person was in last week, and now I'm seeing the poster this week.
But Linda remains steadfast in her conviction that it was Braden whom she saw.
I was absolutely sure it was the same person that had been here because of his eyes and his smile. He didn't look wore out and tired like a lot of our people do. He had a very nice, bright smile, very pleasant, extremely polite. He didn't look like any of our regular people. He didn't look like a homeless person.
But the trail comes to a grinding halt in Cheyenne. In the coming weeks and then months, there are no more sightings of Braden. As time goes by, Braden's loved ones begin to consider a darker theory.
Initially, I wanted to think that he just needed to get out of town for a little while, gather his thoughts, and needed some space. But the more time that went by and no one had heard from him, I was worried he may have ended his life. My biggest fear is that he just couldn't cope with all of the stresses that he had and needed a way out, and that was his way out.
For Detective Thompson, the idea that Braden wanted to end his life is just one more theory that doesn't add up.
We still don't know what his main motivation was for fleeing. But if your objective is to harm yourself, you certainly don't have to drive 10 hours to do that.
"11 months have passed since Braden's disappearance. Frustrated by the lack of new clues in the case, authorities organize a comprehensive search of the area where Braden's vehicle was abandoned.
3 things we want to be looking for: eyeglasses, the necklace, and the watch.
Oh, there was a watch?
Yeah,
And I-
possibly a handgun.
Searchers scour the land surrounding the highway where Braden's car was found. Family and friends privately fear what they might uncover.
I think at this point, out there, they would probably be looking for a body. It's kind of in the back of everyone's heads, I think. I'm just the only one who has ever said it.
After 2 days, the searchers do not find anything. But seeing Wyoming firsthand, Detective Thompson wonders if Braden might still be out there, living under the radar.
Perhaps he just wanted to start over. Perhaps this criminal charge was just more than he could deal with. Maybe he's just continued to run from that. If that's the case, he's pretty good at it, because he certainly left no trail after Wyoming.
There's a lot of young men that move out here. I was one of them. You know, there's something about the lifestyle out here that appealed to me, and it attracts a lot of young men from all over.
But experience also makes it difficult for Detective Thompson to believe that Braden could go so long without surfacing somewhere.
It's hard for an adult to just, you know, drop out, because eventually you have to get a job, you have to make some money, you can find a place to live, typically, that sort of thing. And those are things that generate a trail. And, you know, to just completely disconnect from your family and your friends and not reach out to them at all, it would be very difficult to do. If he's a fugitive, he's the darndest one I've looked for in a long time.
Braden's loved ones continue to hope that Braden is alive and living in the great western wilderness he always dreamed of.
In our hearts, we believe he's still there. I think he's a little bit more than confused. I think it's more humiliated, very, very upset with himself that he disappointed himself and maybe us.
Typically, he has not been in trouble. I think he's just uncertain. He's probably mad at himself and just uncertain what to do. Scared.
Everybody wants to think that their missing loved one is perfectly happy and safe and healthy. So I'd like to think that Braden is out fishing somewhere. I like to think that he's got a dog and a fishing pole and is just hanging out, drinking a beer and doing his thing. I just want to know that he's happy, that he's safe, and that he's okay in life.
अलफ अल्लाही जात तू ऐ झोरे सदके जेड़ो कुल कायनात चलाण आलो अलफ अल्लाही जात तू झोरे सदके जेड़ो कुल कायनात चलाण आलो हुक्म उस है बाजना पतर अल्लाह ओ तेरो मेरो वजूद बनाण आलो 18,000 मखलूक गो ऐ मालिक सुनो रब सुनो जमीन आसमान आलो अर्श फर्श लो कलम महफूज कुर्सी जिया जून ना रिज़्क़ खिलाण आलो दाल दुखांगी गल सो नौरे तमना एक बच्ची मासूम रोलाओ गई है दाल दुखांगी गल सो नौरे तमना एक बच्ची मासूम रुलाओ गई है ओ उसकी मारे गुलनाज है बहुत दुखिया ये मारा सीना माँ बर छिलाओ गई है नाओ बच्ची गो अफसा में मूद सोनो रोग उमरा गो सुनी लाओ गई है ओ जिला पुणछ गिरा शिंदरा सोनो ऐ दुखिया दिलाना अफजारो लाओ गई है दाल दर्द जो दयागा आई बोते ओ खाए पर बचागी नारे जो दई ओवे दाल दर्द जो दयागा आई बोते ओ खाए पर बचागी नारे जो दई होवे ओ माना सबर करार फिर नहीं रहा तो दख्ते जिगर की जद जो दई होवे ते बाप उसको मैं मुँह दियो सेन दुखिया अफसा जही बची सीने लाई होवे ओ दुख मुझ जावेद माँ बाप नावे ओ बचा किसे गी नारे जो दई होवे तेरे हो रब गा कर तमाम होए आस्तारा अप्रैल ना खुशी भरपूर होई रे हो रब गा कर तमाम होए आस्तारा अप्रैल ना खुशी भरपूर होई ओ अल्लाह पाक ने दिती एक बच्चियो सोनी ऐ गुनाह करांगी अर्ज मंजूर होई दिन माँ दाखिल रही महारात 10 बजे प्रश्न होयो ते टेंशन दूर होई ओ दीती खबर फिर आनी उन डॉक्टरां ने होगी बची पर बड़ी कमजोरी होई सलाह दीती वीर डॉक्टर है कमजोर बची ले गए बीच मशीन रखाओ दीती सलाह दीती डॉक्टर है कमजोर बची ले गए बीच मशीन रखाओ दीती 18-19 तक रखी पुणछ अंदर और पर इकी नर जोरी कराओ दीती ऐ रात 9 बजे मामू ऐ नानी दोए गड्डी तरफ रजोरी चलाओ दीती ओ मासा देरी ना लाई ले चल गया ओ 12 बजे रजोरी पहुंचाओ दीती किसना चैन सकून फिरे आई उस दिन तो रास्ता बिच डाडा परेशान होया आई किसना चैन सकून फिरे आई उस दिन तो रास्ता बिच डाडा परेशान होया रात 12 बजे रजोरी पुजया कि जल्दी डॉक्टरां कोल रवाने होया ऐ डॉक्टर नब्ज तके मुतू ये बोल न सके असली राज तू बे वो हैरान होया ओ अमानत रब की है तुम सब्र करियो ए आपसा बची गारू वे रवानी होया किसना होश रे ओ सुनी ये खबर जिस दम आया है आप जायमना छोड़ गई है ऐ किसना होश रे ओ सुनी ये खबर जिस दम आया है आप जायमना छोड़ गई है ये एम्बुलेंस करी वापस पुणच चलना मारी किस्मत अज मुखरे मोड़ गई है आई गुल नाज वाणी अरे ईमान बाकी मेरी खुशी ना किंगा तू रोड़ गई है दाखिल बीच अस्पताल थी पुणछ अंदर ये मांगुल नाज गो दिल क्यों तोड़ गई है अप्रैल 22 ना सुबह गए ऐ 5 बजे वतन शीदरा पुजे आयान सदके अप्रैल 22 ना सुबह गए 5 बजे वतन शीदरा पुजे आयान सदके माना 10 बजे एम्बुलेंस आने तेरा तकन गाय अफजायर मान सदके ते कितना दुख था महंगा ऐ काल जामा जाने वाया रब रहमान सदके और वे बाप महमूद परवेज नानी नाले रोवे सजाद यमान सदके कफन दफन गो वेलो हुणे यार गयो इना दुकाना हुण मीटौरे किसरा कफन दफन गो वेलो हुणे हार गयो इना दुकाना हुण मीटौरे किसरा ओ जीता मांगे बचा गो टूर जानो इस शेर भर कलम चनो किसरा ते अच्छा रब वाले हुणे आई छोड़ गई है तीना सिना नालूण लो किसरा सबर या तो नी दिल मां याद तेरी रोता दिला ना चुप करूं किसरा फिया मान इना दुखाने आई मुकणो नी 4 बजे रे आपका दफनाओ छोड़ी आई फिया मान इना दुखाने मुकणो नी 4 बजे रे आपका दफनाओ छोड़ी वतन पुणछ गिरा शिंदराय अंदर ओ सोनी निकी जी कबर बनाओ छोड़ी सबर करियो महमूद गुल नाज दोए मानत रब गी रब ने छुपाओ छोड़ी ओए पिया मान जावे तू इजाजत ले ले जख्म मोड़ी भी क्यों रे दुखाओ छोड़ी